What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today we're taking a look at the making of my latest song. This is Autopilot and a Electro house track, and let's just jump right in. So I have the drop pulled up here, the second part of the first drop, and I'm going to go in, show you all the layers of all the elements, and then I'm going to break it down piece by piece. So let's start off. Here's what the full drop sounds like. So, starting off with drums, we got the hi-hats. So that's all the pieces. And so let's go and start with the drums. So I got a kick. Then we go into the snare. That snare is rendered in from another project file that I was working on that I ended up scrapping. So that's why that's just a straight audio file. And that the sample is shifted slightly before the kick. So there's a bit of a driving feel. Then we got the first hat. Shaker in the left headphone. And then a 909 phasered hi-hat in the right. And these are both sidechained to the kick. So that's the drums. And then let's hop into the bass. Now the bass is the thing that's doing most of the work when it comes to the tone. The temptation here for me when making this track was to load up on supersaws and have that be the main element, but that actually wasn't as effective as letting the bass do a lot of the tone, but at the same time not overwhelm it with low end. So here's the bass doing most of the heavy lifting. If I take off the sidechaining. And that is a massive patch, and I've got it on an arpeggiator so I can hold down a key. And layered with that subtly is this bass. That's not really doing a whole lot. This one's that's a bit lower, providing a bit more low end. And then finally a sub. And all of these are sidechained. So that is the bass. Then you get into the leads. The leads are the other thing, doing a lot of the work on the tone. And so here's the main lead. That is a very basic square wave patch, essentially. Sidechained with a heavy amount of reverb on it. And then in the second part of the drop is the double. And that, melodically, that's playing a harmony. A lot of the time that's playing a harmony with the main lead, and it's also, this one is a saw. So then you layer that in with the bass. That's a lot of your sound right there, and then what's left is just to fill it out with a couple of super saws, which I did. So we got this one right here. Panned a bit to the right, and then this other one panned a bit to the left. So you have them together, that you get a bit of width, and it fills out the track nicely. And they're very tonally different, but they complement each other, and so you don't get any weird stereo imbalances or anything like that. And then finally, I have a couple of choir patches to serve as pads, just very, very subtly layered in there. So you layer all that together and you get and of course then I had to spend time doing EQ and compression and all that stuff to make everything fit together as well as it possibly could. Now I'm going to go ahead and hop into the verse, and then I'm going to show you how the verse and the drop connect. So starting off, it's all plucks, as you can hear, or it's mostly plucks anyway. That one's doing most of the work on the tone. And when it comes to plucks, it's really important a lot of the time if you want a warmer pluck to low pass it. And so here's it without. That's great in a drop, but a lot of the time for kind of a dead mousy kind of sound, you typically roll off a lot of the high end. At least in this case, with that specific patch I was using. Then there's another one, penned a bit to the right. And then this one panned to the left, playing a little arpeggio thing. And then finally a couple other little pads to fill it out. And then finally the piano, which I was using a demo plugin there, so I had to render it down because it wouldn't let me save it. So I had to just render it down to audio once I was sure that I got the tone I wanted. So that's that. I've actually got two different patches here. And they're both tonally pretty different, so you layer them together. And finally, a little 909 ride. And finally, let's head on into the chorus/build. So what I did here was I duplicated some of the elements from the drop and then used EQ automation to bring them in subtly until it builds into what ends up being the drop. So I duplicated the track stack that was the bass, and I have some pretty aggressive EQ on that, so I'll show you what I did here. So I'll solo that right here. High cut automation is a very common thing in EDM for creating rises and drops in energy. And then also I have some low cut automation. So as it rises and gets more energetic, you lose some low end. So when the drop finally hits, that low end all comes back, and it can be powerful without having to be much louder. So what this does is it makes this come in much more subtly. So this starts out basically as just kind of a little subtle little bass, and it slowly introduces the element instead of it just coming in abruptly, which serves as a nice transition. I also did the same with these two supersaws. Starts out subtle. Finally, we got the build drum, so this is a 909. This also has some EQ automation on it. And then this little fill, another 909 patch. And then finally, this right here. And that transitions you in to the drop. Alrighty, that is it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you produce music, hopefully you found it helpful for your own productions. I do a new song every other Monday and a new Audio Geek video on the Mondays Without Songs. I'm Gabe, and I will see you guys next week. Peace out.